Welcome back to the latest episode of TT Plays. On this rapid rules review, we're going to be covering a couple different interactions about controlling an item, owning a card, and then we're going to cover some things I got wrong recently about Voltaire, and we're going to wrap up with a puzzle, which is something I did recently when I presented at the Colorado Judge Conference. So first, let's talk about Frost Hex. Frost Hex is a card played by, very civilized wizard players. It's an Icelander specialization, and it's an affliction. And it says, an affliction enters the arena under an opposing hero's control. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward to me, but there's been some confusion here. I own the Frost Hex. I bought it, sleeved it, showed it up, and more importantly, presented it in my deck. I've played it, now it's under my opponent's control. So that's important for cards like Imperial Warhorn. Imperial Warhorn says, destroy Imperial Warhorn. Choose any number of heroes. Each of them chooses an ally, or item, or landmark permanent they control. So the defending player against the Icelander can choose themselves and pick that Frost Hex. And then they can also pick the Icelander player who might have an Insidious Chill or a Channel Lake Frigid or any number of other auras out there. So Warhorn basically can double dip into Icelander. Getting rid of an Insidious Chill and a Frost Hex can be really big, right? Each one of them is under a different player's control. Miraging Metamorph, right, is a illusionist attack, right? A 1/7 because it's an illusionist. It does have Phantasm, though. And it says, when Miraging Metamorph is destroyed, create a token that's a copy of an aura you control. Now, let's go back to Frost Hex. Frost Hex is an affliction aura. So if I Frost Hex a Dromai later plays this Miraging Metamorph, and I pop it, if that's the only aura they have, unfortunately, they have to double it. Right? That text on Miraging Metamorph isn't optional. So again, that is an aura they control. They might not want to control it. It's an affliction aura that I own, but they, as the Dromai player, do control it, and if for Miraging Metamorph, would have to double it. Now, one of the new cards in the set is Hack to Reality, right? That general action, your next attack gets +2. The next time you hit a hero this turn, destroy a non-token aura they own, with cost less than or equal to the amount of damage dealt this way. So if that Dromai player uses Hack to Reality on that Miraging Metamorph, I take damage from the Metamorph and the damage exceeds the Frost Hex. I own the Frost Hex. They control the Frost Hex. They could choose to destroy that Frost Hex, even though they control it, right? This time it's referencing the owner of it. So the owner of it is pretty straightforward. Who brought it, who presented it in their deck list? The controlling player is just, well, who has it in their arena at any given time. So hopefully that clears up a little bit about control versus ownership when it comes to objects in the arena for Flesh and Blood. The next thing up we need to talk about is Voltaire. So modal cards like Cryptic Command, if you come from Magic the Gathering, or normally Art of War, or maybe Blood on their hands, you have to pick the modes when you play them. So when I play Art of War, I have to say, I'm going to banish, draw 2, and then I'd like to give go again, or I'd like to have +1, whatever you want to pick. You declare the modes when you play the card. Voltaire, apparently you have to do the same thing. Apparently it's still being read as Rule 1.7.6a, which says modes of abilities are declared as the source card activated layer or triggered layer is added to the layer of the stack. So when you pay for Voltaire, you have to say Voltaire +1 or Voltaire go again before you show the arrow, right? You don't necessarily have to have the arrow. You can, of course, Voltaire just to get rid of cards, kind of filter your hand and things like that. But you do have to declare what's going on. And that does give Icelander or other players who operate on instant speed a little bit more information there, right? If they pick go again, right, playing at that Channel Lake Frigid is a little more tempting, knowing that they're going to try to utilize additional attacks this turn. If they give it +1, right, maybe you're less inclined to do that. Maybe you just know you need to block a little bit bigger. And then obviously we know Bolt and Shot kind of messes that all up. But it's a big change to what they've done. And this actually comes from the Judge Discord. And I encourage you all to join the Judge Discord. There'll be a link down there in the comments below. So join the Judge Discord. Help stay up to date. And if you're playing Icelander or Lexi, or honestly, if you're just curious how this is going to be played, if you're going to Nats or another big event coming up, I would ask one of the judges when you get there. It's one thing for the Judge Discord to say something. I think it's another thing to verify how they want to run something at the event. This one is a little unclear, but basically they said, hey, the wording of Voltaire is just a little funky. They're treating it as 1.7.6.a, which is, again, modes for an activated ability. So I thought it was when you hit the arsenal, there was a triggered ability on there. That's wrong. But again, Verify if this is a big deal to you. Make sure you understand the interaction going into it, because over the course of a long day, this is going to come up if you're playing Lexi or if you're playing Icelander, and you just want to make sure that you're playing this properly. But for Icelander, a small buff for us going into that Lexi matchup. Now, we have to know what they're choosing when they activate that Voltaire. Now, recently I was privileged. Ben Petrilla asked me to speak at the judge conference here in Colorado. It was a great time. Ben's been a great judge mentor to me as I've kind of embarked on that journey there. And one of the things I came up with was a bunch of puzzles to kind of interact with and engage the people there. And I wanted to share one of the puzzles we didn't get to here today. And, next week, or whenever the next Rapid Rules review is, we'll go over the answer for it, and hopefully you'll learn something. So I do have this image up here from Talishar. I don't know what playmat that is. Someone else will know that. But Dori is playing a deck that can contain any card you can legally play in it. That's important. Any deck can be within this Dorinthia deck. They had a Quicken token, and they attack with the Dawnblade pitching a blue. You can see that clearly illustrated here, right? The Quicken token is cracked. Dawnblade swings. The defending player blocks with a Sink Below from hand. Great. Both players pass the resolution. Dori then attacks with a Command and Conquer, using the rest of their pitch. The defending player blocks 9 with 3 cards from hand. Dori has 1 blue and a Singing Steelblade in hand. Is it possible for the Dori to destroy the defending player's arsenal this turn? And if so, how? All right, so again, you've got that Singing in hand, you've got a blue in hand, you're in the chain link for the Command and Conquer. Let me know how and if you can blow up your opponent's arsenal here. I'll leave this picture up for a few more seconds here. Again, next week on the Rapid Rules review, we'll go over the answer, and I'll ask another question. Maybe you guys like it. Let me know any answers you have down there in the comments. I think that would be really cool. So I hope this helped you out a little bit, right, about controlling and owning different permanents in the arena. Hopefully now you know about Voltaire. I didn't know that. Did you know Voltaire operated like that? I literally had no idea. I ruled that wrong for someone like 3 months ago. And I do want to stress, as a judge, do I try to get everything right? Yes. But absolutely, we're going to make mistakes. If that's a reason that you're afraid of judging, you're going to make the best decision you can. You move forward. It was also at the armory level. No one was really worried about it. There was no one for me to appeal to. So until next, everyone, cheers and happy gaming.